So Thor Ragnarok is here and everybody in the world seems to think it's the best movie ever. Everybody who's not me. Don't get me wrong, I definitely had a good time watching the movie, but 93% on Rotten Tomatoes? Come on. I'm Gary Mitchell, and despite having a pretty good time watching Thor Ragnarok, I'm here to give you my top 3 reasons why I hope it's not the new normal for the Marvel films. Before we get started, I'm working hard to grow this channel, and I'll be putting out a new video every single weekend. So if you like this video, make sure you subscribe and click on that little bell icon so you always know when I post a new video. So first of all, to be fair, there are definitely things about this movie that I did like and appreciate. The action scenes were awesome, some of the visual effects were fantastic and straight out of a comic book. But there are things about this movie that honestly kind of bugged me. And the easiest way to sum it up is to say that it's Marvel's first full-on comedy. This movie is really silly. Marvel movies pretty much have a formula now. And even though I was definitely expecting that in this film, this movie's really silly. Right out of the gate, the film opens with a tongue-in-cheek monologue from Thor. And I was immediately like, oh wow, okay, we're not gonna be taking this seriously at all, are we? Literally every other line in this movie was a joke or a quip or a one-liner. And the humor never lets up. And while Marvel has definitely had hilarious movies before, this is the first Marvel movie that felt like it was a parody of a Marvel movie. I don't think I should feel like I'm watching Guardians of the Galaxy while I'm watching Thor. It's Thor. Which brings me to concern number 2. Say goodbye to your characters. I'll be the first person to admit that Thor is a character that is hard to keep interesting. So by the time you get to his 3rd movie, I definitely give points to the director for trying to do something kind of different with him. The problem that I have is that the character you are watching in this movie is not Thor. This is Chris Hemsworth doing a comedy routine. Literally every line out of this guy's mouth is a joke or a one-liner. Thor in the comic books is a regal Norse warrior god, but he still has this kind of nobility to him. The guy in this movie is a joke-a-minute chatterbox that sounds like he's been reading Deadpool comics. And then there's Loki. Remember the good old days when Loki was not only funny and cool, but also suave and sinister and calculating? Well, some of that is still here, but Loki kind of feels like just another character in this film. Not at all the scheming power player that he used to be in the Marvel Universe. I guess my problem is it doesn't really feel like a Thor movie. Like, you could switch these characters and these names out for literally anybody and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. All of that combined with what has to be my least favorite take on the Hulk of all the Marvel movies. If you liked what they did with the Hulk in this movie, good for you. A lot of people did. It just didn't work for me. I guess my point with this is I hope that Marvel's not gonna make a habit out of changing the core and the essence of who their characters are for the sake of just telling a fun, entertaining story. My last gripe with this movie has to do with the incredibly high stakes of this film. Except not at all. The overwhelming, unrelenting humor in this film ends up undercutting some of the emotion and the drama that it could have had. Even when there's really serious stuff going on in this movie, you never really feel like it's that serious because there's a joke that's coming right behind it. Hela, the actual goddess of death, this incredibly destructive force rolling over Asgard, mowing people down, and then we cut to Thor and Loki goofing around on another planet. We cut back to Idris Elba, who's trying desperately to save as many of the Asgardian refugees as he can. Then we cut to Thor and Hulk having a playful argument about which one's the strongest Avenger. Here comes a minor spoiler, so if you don't want any spoilers, close your eyes and plug your ears for the next 15 seconds. Ready, go. Okay, still there? Do you remember these guys? Thor's crew, his posse, his team of besties? These guys get killed in this movie. Really killed. And not only does Thor not even seem to find out about it or care, but you don't even really have time to care beyond just the shock value of watching it happen. Because as soon as their bodies hit the ground, we're off to the next funny thing. And just as a random sidebar, where the heck is Sif in this movie? Did Jamie Alexander just go, no, I'm kind of famous, I'm not coming back for this one? Guys, bottom line is this. I don't want to sound like I hated this movie, because I really didn't. It was entertaining. I had a good time watching it. I just feel like a movie called Thor Ragnarok that's supposed to be about the end of the world maybe shouldn't be a comedy. I'm gonna give Thor Ragnarok a 7 out of 10. I feel like it was trying so hard to be Guardians of the Galaxy that Thor and Loki and the rest of their cast never really made it to the screen. If you loved this movie, laughed the whole way through and had an awesome time, cool, good on you. But for me as a lifelong fan who's been following these characters for the last several movies and has really been looking forward to seeing how they kind of grow and develop and their dynamic evolves, I gotta say I was a little disappointed. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about Thor Ragnarok. And be sure to check right back here next week because I've got another video for you guys coming soon. Finally, have a look around my channel. I got a ton of stuff for you guys here, and there's more on the way. Thanks so much. I'm Gary Mitchell, and we'll see you next time. Stay cool, stay blessed, stay in touch.